Welcome back to The Young Voter. Tomorrow is Election Day, the 2010 midterms that we've all been waiting for, and that this channel has attempted to bring some info on. Now, we're not going to be back on the air until Wednesday, and then I'll record another little commentary, and that'll mostly break down the election results, give you any surprises that might have happened, perhaps try to analyze the results, etc. And from now on, after the midterms, we are going to be doing a weekly broadcast. And that's generally going to be on Friday. It's going to be a roundup of the week's political news. And it's probably not going to pick up again until the 2012 presidential cycle is going strong and the primaries have started and everything. But we're going to have it weekly and perhaps daily on days that they're big, important political stories. So I'd like to wrap up this election season cycle with some predictions about what's going to happen tomorrow, because many people, pundits, experts, etc., have made their predictions, and I would like to make my predictions based on what I've seen, read in the papers, etc. Now, Democrats are expected to lose seats tomorrow, whatever way you shape it, and I agree that's probably going to happen. But the magnitude of the seat loss, I don't know. We'll see. So in the Senate, I'm going to project that in Connecticut, Richard Blumenthal is going to pull through. He's going to be the next senator from Connecticut. And I think that's true because he's far ahead in the polls against Linda McMahon by about 12 points. And most people agree that he's going to pull through. In Delaware, Chris Coons is going to be Christine O'Donnell. That's not a question. That's going to be a blowout. In West Virginia, now this is a closer one. I think Governor Joe Manchin, because of his popularity and the recent campaigning by Bill Clinton and all the money that was poured into the state and the recent polls, I think West Virginia will go narrowly to Governor Joe Manchin. I'm not sure exactly at what point the networks will be able to call the race, but I'm pretty confident in saying that West Virginia will go to the Democrats. Kentucky, I do not think Jack Conway will have it in him to win, and I think Rand Paul will pull out the state of Kentucky. Again, I'm not sure when the networks will be able to project this. It won't be a blowout, but certainly I think that Rand Paul will be able to pull it out. In Pennsylvania, I think it'll be very close, and you all might not like when I say this, but I think Pat Toomey will win in Pennsylvania. He's been very ahead in the polls, about 6 points recently. The gap has increased. Now, there is uncertainty in the forecast that I'm predicting right now. I would say that if there's a big turnout in Pennsylvania, big Democratic turnout, specifically around Pittsburgh and in eastern Pennsylvania, specifically around Philadelphia, if the turnout operation is good for the Democrats, and I think this is valid around the country, if the Democrats are really able to turn out the vote, they'll be able to take a lot of these close races, especially in the House as well. So that could change, but at the moment, I think Pat Toomey will edge Joe Sestak out of the race. In Illinois, another very close race, I believe Alexi Giannoulias will beat Mark Kirk, and that's because Illinois is a very Democratic state. The Democrats and Obama went in and campaigned strong, especially in Ohio. The turnout, in Chicago, the turnout is going to be very high, and I really do think, it might be close, and a projection might not be made until late in the night, but I think Alexi Giannoulias will be able to pull it out and win Barack Obama's old seat. In Wisconsin, unfortunately, for a lot of progressives out there, I think that Senator Russ Feingold will lose to Ron Johnson. Now, I don't think it'll be a blowout, and I think it'll be a lot closer in the polls state, but I do think Ron Johnson will beat Russ Feingold. Now, again, if there's a big Democratic turnout, if Democrats are able to run up the numbers in large cities and suburban areas, then I think that Russ Feingold has a chance to be reelected. But I'm not predicting. I'm predicting Ron Johnson will win. In Colorado, another very close race, I predict Michael Bennet, the current Democratic senator, will hold on to his seat in Colorado. I do not think Ken Buck will be able to hold on to that seat, or at least throw Michael Bennet off of the seat. I just think that turnout in the Denver area and the early vote operation and all the money the Democrats have poured into their get-out-the-vote operation will really help Bennet. And again, it might be close, and I think it's going to be very close, but I think Michael Bennet will hold on to his seat, especially since Colorado is going increasingly Democratic in recent years. In Washington, another race that people think is going to be very close, I do not think it's going to be that close. Washington is a very Democratic state. I think incumbent Senator Patty Murray is certainly going to win. I think that's not a question. A lot of people said the race was tightening in the last days. Dino Rossi is ahead. Tightening in polls at the end, it's questionable, but I really don't see Dino Rossi winning in the state of Washington. I'm almost too confident, perhaps to a fault, that Senator Patty Murray will hold on to his seat. In the state of Nevada, Harry Reid will win, I predict. I predict the Senate Majority Leader will hold on to his seat. The turnout operation there and the vast quantities of money and volunteers that the Democrats have mobilized in that state, and the poor image that Sharon Angle holds in the state, I think Senator Harry Reid will hold on to his seat. I think it'll be a nail-biter. I think it'll be very close. But I think that the Majority Leader will be able to hold on to his seat there. In California, this is not a surprise, and I think this is probably the least surprising result, though some people call it close. Barbara Boxer will win. Carly Fiorina will not be able to unseat Senator Barbara Boxer. Barbara Boxer will hold on to her seat, I'm predicting. In Alaska, I'm predicting too close to call. I'm predicting that results will not be available on Wednesday morning, especially with Lisa Murkowski's write-in votes that will take a long time to be tabulated. Joe Miller's decreased support over the past few days and over the last week, and Scott McAdams' surge now. And a lot of Democrats were supporting Lisa Murkowski now are going to go to McAdams, I think. So I'm not predicting a extended court battle like Frank and Coleman from '08, but I am predicting that Alaska will be too close to call on Wednesday morning. And I'm not comfortable in making a projection at the moment in Alaska. The House, I think the Republicans will pick up anywhere from 30 to 40 seats. Perhaps slightly less. I'd say they could pick up to 45. I don't think the Republicans are going to pick up 50 seats. I think the death of the Democratic Party has been predicted very prematurely. People are just not willing to pull the lever for Republicans. I'm convinced in a lot of these districts, people say there are 100 competitive races in the country. They're not, okay? I mean, they rate a race that was polled, Barney Frank at 13% of a 13-point lead ahead of his challenger, Gilad, to be a close race. That's not a close race. There are definitely not 100 seats in play. I would say at most there are about 60 seats in play. I think the Democrats will win a portion of them, and I think the Republicans will win maybe more than half of them. But I project the Republicans will pick up no more than 45 seats tomorrow night. I think that's high in the spectrum, and I think they will narrowly carry. I think that they may narrowly carry the House. I think a net loss of 39 seats. Those are a lot of seats. Okay, those are a lot of races in some Democratic-leaning districts. Yes, there could be a lot of conservative Democrats that fall tomorrow, but I don't think it's going to be 39. I don't think it's going to be a net of 39. I think, of course, the Democrats are going to pick up a couple of Republican seats. Specifically, I think they're definitely going to pick up Mike Castle's seat in Delaware at large, and I think they're going to pick up Mark Kirk's seat in Chicago. People that believe that that's going to stay Republican, I think, are very wrong. Chicago, of course, is very Democratic. There's no chance Mark Kirk, that seat, is going to stay in the Republican column, in my opinion. And of course, Joseph Cowell in New Orleans doesn't stand a chance. That seat is definitely going to go Republican. And I think Reichert's seat on the West Coast, Steve Reichert, the Republican, I think that seat is probably going to go to the Democrats. I'm pretty convinced that he's going to lose that seat. So I think the Republicans may gain up to 41, 42 seats, but it's going to be a net of less than 39. So I think the House at the moment is too close to call. I think a lot of people project that the Republicans are going to carry 50 seats. That's very unlikely to happen, in my opinion. It's for a variety of reasons. People have said that there's a big enthusiasm gap. The difference in polling between Republicans and Democrats in likely voter model was 10 points. That I don't think so. I think a lot of Democratic voters are going to come home tomorrow, and they're gonna vote. I think a lot of Democrats are maybe perhaps uncomfortable saying that they support the Democrats in this time, but I know A lot of Democrats are going to come out and vote tomorrow. There's going to be record turnout. I project there's going to be record turnout, and a lot of people predict that. Some people have predicted 90 million. I think it could be even higher. I think it could, some people have predicted about 41% turnout. I think it's going to be even higher than that. I think it's going to be very high turnout. Yeah, there are going to be a lot of Republicans voting, but I think a lot of Democrats are scared, okay, of the Republicans gaining back the majority, and they're going to vote. And you may argue with that, but I think that's going to be the case. Now, finally, in the governor's races, in New York, Andrew Cuomo is going to crush Carl Paladino. The question is, by how many points? And of course, in the New York House races, I think the Democrats are going to pick up are going to keep most of the House seats in New York. They're not going to lose that many because of Cuomo's coattails, which are going to be enormous. I mean, Andrew Cuomo is going to crush Carl Paladino. I project by over 20 points. I think it's going to be about 62-38 or something like that. I think there's very little hope for Carl Paladino making any impressive showing. I think if he keeps the margin below 20 points, that's an accomplishment for him. In Ohio, I think the Democrat, Ted Strickland, will be able to pull out a victory, especially with all the money and the fundraising and Obama's appearances in recent days. I think Strickland will be able to edge Kasich out. In Oregon, I think Kitzhaber, the Democrat, will be able to hold on to the seat there. It's Oregon. It's a very Democratic state. And, of course, Senator Ron Wyden, who is running for re-election, is going to win by about 15 points, 15 to 20 points. So there's very little chance that Kitzhaber will lose. And, of course, in Connecticut, the Democrat Malloy will win that seat. That's not a question. Connecticut's a very blue state, especially with Richard Blumenthal crushing Elizabeth Mann. So, again, these are my predictions. I'll let you know on Wednesday how I did. But I think these are... You may disagree with a lot of them, but let me know. Post and see what you think. But thank you again for listening to me. We'll talk on Wednesday. Tomorrow I'm going to vote early in the morning, and then watch returns for all the evening. So just post on, comment on this video, and let me know what you think about my predictions, and we'll see you on Wednesday. All right? Go out and vote. That's the most important thing you can do tomorrow.